In this session, we'll talk about the most important PPC metrics, which you can use to optimize your Amazon advertising campaigns in the way that you are using the right data for that. So for this session, we'll have two great experts, Travis Ziegler from Pineapple Ads Agency, and also Neha Bukhar from Atom 11 Agency or software. And they work with PPC Amazon advertising every day. And they will share with you some strategies and tips. And this session is sponsored by two companies. The first one is Getida. They are the global leader in Amazon FBA reimbursements and auditing solutions. They can help you to get money back from Amazon. If you're selling on Amazon, then Amazon owes you some money. So check them out. You can get free audit from them. The link is below in the description. And the second company which helps to run this session is VAA Philippines. It's a virtual assistance database which can help you with any kind of tasks in your e-commerce business, be it on Amazon or Walmart or other platforms. They have professionals in every stage of your e-commerce journey, and they can help you with people, part-time, full-time, whatever you need. So check them out. The link is in the description. And this session is part of the virtual summit, which is called Seller Fest Online. And we are celebrating this event because we got 20,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel recently, and that's why we brought this virtual summit. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel of OrangeClick, do it right now. And now let's bring two guests of ours. It's Travis and Neha. Hello, guys.
Hey, Augustus, how are you?
Good,
Hi,
good.
everyone.
Thank you. And yeah, we will start with a short introduction from both of you. So maybe Neha, you can give us a short overview of what you do, and then we'll follow with Travis.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much, Augustus, for having me over. This is a beautiful, beautiful event. Great host of lineup that you have set up for everyone to watch. Hi, everyone. I'm Neha Bhutjar. I'm the CEO of Atom 11. Atom 11 is an ad automation software for Amazon brands and agencies. The USP that we bring to the table is that we combine or unify Seller Central data with advertising data. So we not just allow you to analyze Seller Central and ads data together, but we actually help you automate or build in those automations. For example, use inventory data and pause your ads when inventory is low, or use your search rank data and increase bids when your search rank has dropped. So we believe that as advertising becomes more and more expensive, it is more and more important for you to be more efficient in your ads. And that can only happen if you are retail aware. And that's what we bring to the table, retail aware advertising which is aware of what's happening in your Seller Central. Very quickly, I have spent about 6 to 8 years in Amazon, 6 years specifically in Amazon advertising team. So I come with a very strong domain expertise in Amazon ads, not just from how to optimize, but also from the algorithm perspective, because I've actually helped build the algorithms for Amazon ads. That's a little bit about me. Over
Thank
to
you
you.
very much. Thank you. And Travis, can you introduce yourself, please?
Well, hey, congratulations on hitting 20,000 subscribers. So that's huge. I just hit 7,000 on YouTube, so I'm pretty excited about that too. So congratulations to you guys for hitting that goal. That's huge. Dr. Travis Ziegler here, CEO of Profitable Pineapple Ads. I'm also one of the principals at the TED Fund, which is our investment fund where we invest in supplement brands. At Profitable Pineapple Ads, we primarily focus on supplement companies. And so we help grow supplement companies, consumable brands, pretty much everything that every agency wants to stay away from. We love, because supplement brands are hard and they're very hard to scale if you don't use the right systems. And so that's mainly what we focus on. And I'm going to pretty much teach you today about what we've learned scaling those supplement companies and how you can apply it to your brand and I'm going to kind of debunk some myths around some metrics that most Amazon sellers are looking at, especially one metric that everybody cares about that we don't care about at all. And I'm going to tell you why, because the real metrics are what matter. And that's what I'm going to be going over.
Well, thank you very much. And yeah, we will now start with presentations. Travis will go first and then Neha. And those who are watching, please, shoot your questions in the chat, or if you're watching the replay, ask questions in the comments and we will bring those experts to answer them later. So Travis, I see your screen, so all good. Neha, see you a bit later, and let's go.
All right, so you guys can see the screen. Let me know if you cannot, because I cannot see you anymore. So Augustus, I'm going to rely on you if you cannot see me.
We see you and your screen. All
perfect. Good. All right, so I know this title might shock a lot of you because ACoS is so important to you, but ACoS doesn't matter. And in today's presentation, this is going to be short because Q&A is the best form for this type of presentation. But I'm going to go over the 4 crucial metrics to really grow your sales and what really matters. Okay. Perfect. And as you know, all of us know Amazon PPC is a powerful tool for driving sales velocity and organic rank growth. However, you guys are focused on ACoS, and I'm here to tell you that ACoS does not matter. I'm going to break down what actually matters today and how you can use this in your business to really accelerate your sales. And I want you to think of a lot of people try to figure out the A9 algorithm and try to figure out how Amazon works. And I'm going to simplify it for you guys today. Amazon has 2 primary goals. They want high conversion rate and they want high sales velocity. If you break down everything, that's all they want. They want to show listings to their customers that have a high conversion rate that are likely to sell. They also want to show their customers products that are getting bought a lot. So if you have a listing that converts very well and that sells a lot, you're going to go up in the organic rank. It's as simple as that. You don't have to overcomplicate it with everything else. Yes, there's other stuff that matters, but when it boils down to it, those are the 2 things that really matter. High conversion rate, high sales velocity. Again, high conversion rate is very targeted search terms where your listing converts exceptionally well. Even if the volume is lower, these will drive profitable, high converting sales. You're going to hear me say this over and over again. I'm going to repeat myself over and over again because it's that important. High sales velocity keywords, as you guys know, bring large volumes of traffic and purchases consistently over time. This will spike your total sales. Again, it sounds simple because it is simple. Now, when you combine high conversion rate with high sales velocity keywords, these are keywords or search terms, whatever you want to use, search terms that have a high conversion rate and search terms with a high sales velocity. What that's going to do for you is going to increase your organic rank. Organic rank is not dead on Amazon. Yes, you have to pay to play more, but organic rank is still very important. Number 2, it's going to decrease your advertising costs on a per sales basis. Otherwise, your tacos, because more organic sales flow in. Your total sales are going to skyrocket. And then this is the ideal scenario. You focus on high conversion rate, high sales velocity, increase your organic rank, decreases your tacos, skyrockets your total sales. Even if your ACoS is increasing, your tacos may still be decreasing. And what this means is more profit. Profit, profit, profit. You're going to hear that word over and over again. However, the biggest problem I see with you and most Amazon sellers is that you sabotage yourself by focusing too much on your ACoS or your advertising cost of sale. I hear people brag about it in communities all the time about how they're lowering their clients' ACoS or lowering my ACoS, and it's complete bullshit. When you obsess over ACoS, it just doesn't matter. And what I see with a lot of clients and what I see with a lot of sellers is that you focus on ACoS for each campaign or focus on ACoS for each keyword, and you look at it every day, if not every hour. And quite honestly, I look at my campaign for my brand. I also have a brand called Dr. Berry's, and I've sold a brand of my own in 2021 for a multi-million-dollar exit, and I'm doing it again in Dr. Berry's. I look at my campaigns once a week. Now, I do have software that helps me, but all I do is look at my campaigns once a week. If your ACoS seems too high, most of you guys just pause it. You don't really try to optimize it that much, and if you do try to optimize it, it usually makes it disappear. You've probably had a high ACOS campaign, you turn down the bid, and then you no longer show up for that keyword. You start to drop in sales and you don't really know what to do next. Now, rather than fixating on ACOS, your core objective should be to increase your profit. Again, you're going to hear me repeat myself over and over again because it's that important in this presentation. Profit is the cash that you have in your pocket at the end of each month. I know it's a little different with inventory, but bear with me here with this for this. But your goal should be to increase profit, the actual cash in your pocket. ACOS reveals very little about the profit of your business. It also misses opportunities by pausing high ACOS campaigns. For an example, if you have an ACOS of 150%, most of you would panic. You'd instantly turn off that campaign without considering anything else. But again, ACOS does not matter on its own. It is simply one metric, not the metric to base decisions on. If you judge campaigns solely by ACOS, it's going to cause you to miss huge opportunities. And again, I'm going to illustrate this here in just a little bit. And also, ACOS is category dependent. Some categories like ours, we focus on supplements. High ACOS, very competitive, $7 cost per clicks. And you need to pay that to get any visibility and sales velocity. Other categories can get a 5% ACOS and have no problems. So there's no fixed ideals in this. So when somebody brags about their low ACOS, there's no context behind that. It all depends on your niche and what you're doing in your decision at that, or what you're doing in your business at that time period. So when you first start out, advertising spend will be high and margins will be lower as you pay to play. This is expected, so don't panic if your ACOS seems high. As you start to gain traction, your organic sales and your rank improve. This lowers your advertising cost over time over your tacos. You may go from a 50% profit margin to just a 25% margin after heavy PPC spend. But if your total profit dollars doubled from 10,000 to 20,000 per month, that's a win. You need to focus on profit, which is money in your pocket, not ACOS. ACOS should not be a big decision maker for you. It should be a metric that you look at, but you should not make big decisions based on ACOS. Now, I wanted to give you guys just a background and repeat myself over and over again, just to kind of let it sink in that profit matters. Now I want to go through a couple examples to really illustrate this because that will really hammer it home. Now, my first example was when I owned my company, iLove, and that's the one I sold in 2021. We were running a campaign for the word sty treatment. It was a single keyword ad campaign, exact match for sty treatment, and it had 150% ACOS. Again, most of you guys would probably panic and shut that off. However, you have to look at the full picture. That search term had a 45% conversion rate for us. 45% conversion rate. Out of every 2 people that came to that listing, 1 was buying. High conversion rate keyword. High conversion rate search term. It was also getting us 3 or 4 sales a day because of the search volume. High conversion rate, high sales velocity. When you combine those two, what happens is that you increase the organic rank, not just for the word sty treatment, but for everything in that keyword silo. So sty treatment, sty relief, sty press, sty compress, whatever else. You're going to rank for all that keyword silo because it has a high conversion rate and a high sales velocity. So when we looked at the total profit dollars and not just the margin or the ACOS of this campaign, our TACOS was actually decreasing and our profit was increasing as a result of this campaign. Although it was at 150% ACOS, it was driving profitable sales long-term because of what it was doing for our organic rank. So do not make big decisions on ACOS alone. Instead, look at profit. Profit, not profit margin. Profit margin will decrease as you scale, almost always. And as you scale your brand and make it bigger, your margin will probably go down because you're moving up the funnel, up the advertising funnel. As you move up the advertising funnel, your margin will decrease. However, your profits will go up because you're becoming a bigger brand. And so low ACOS may work for you in a small company, but if you want to scale your company, you have to look at profit, not just profit margin. You can't look at ACOS, you have to look at TACOS, a holistic approach at your whole business. Again, use ACOS to spot check outlier campaigns. Like we'd look at this campaign and we'd focus on it. And this is what we came up with, 45% conversion, 3 to 4 sales a day, because it boosted our organic rank. This is a key concept to understand. I'm going to show you how to put this in the action in the next slide. So I want to show you how to calculate your break-even ACOS and kind of what we use to calculate our target ACOSs when we're thinking about supplement companies, but not just supplement companies, other companies as well. You can use this across the board, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So break-even ACOS is simply your profit margin of your product. And your profit margin for your product is your sales price minus your Amazon fees minus your COGS divided by your sales price. And so let me show you an example of that. So this is the brand we just bought in March. This is one of the first brands we bought, or the first brand that we bought in our investment fund. And it's called Dr. Berry's Eclectic Remedies. It's not a non-competitive space because we're competing with big pharmaceutical companies like Tums, Prilosec, Nexium, Rolaids, all the big pharmaceutical companies and their products here in the United States and worldwide, but we only sell in the United States. And this is a $40 product. And right now we have a 50% off coupon. So if you have reflux problems and stomach and digestive issues, please go check it out because it's 50% off right now. We'd love the support. That's my commercial for this product. But I want to show you this as an example. So this sells for $39.95, so about $40. Amazon fees for this product are $9.85. Our COGS is about $5 per unit. So that right there is about $25.10 left over to break even, or our maximum cost per acquisition is $25.10. That's just the $39.95 minus $9.85 minus 5. It's as simple as that. When we take that $25.10 divided by $39.95, gives us a 63% profit margin or a 63% break-even ACOS. Pretty simple to calculate that. The higher your profit margin, obviously, the more you can reinvest. So what we like to do is we like to set our target ACOS for consumables at 10 to 20% above that break-even. And so 63% break-even ACOS for this product that I just showed you, I'm targeting right now, I'm targeting an 83% ACOS for this product. And that's going to make me lose money on the sale, but ultimately bring my profit up because people are going to come back and purchase from me over and over again. Now, if you're in the non-consumable space, what I like to usually do is stay at or slightly below break even for non-consumables. I don't like to be as aggressive because you're not getting that lifetime value like you are with consumables. That's why I love supplement brands, because they come back and buy over and over again. And if you're focusing on profitability, you may want to go 15 to 20% under break even. So knowing your numbers and knowing your profit margin is huge, because when I talk to clients and they're like, yeah, I just want to hit a 25% ACOS. It's like, but why? And they can never answer that question. It's because somebody told them that. And we actually calculate this for them and show them how we do this, and then tell them why we're targeting what we're targeting. So when you have a more compelling reason why you're doing something and you understand why you're figuring out your target ACOS, that's when real growth will occur with advertising. And so I don't like to go for 15 to 20% under break even, because you're leaving organic sales on the table, because your tacos may actually climb as you try to become more profitable because your organic rank is slipping. So don't miss out on volume and rank improvements by overly restricting your spend. Again, consumables 10 to 20% over break even, and then at or slightly below break even for non-consumables. But if you're really on a tight budget, you may want to go even further down, but you're going to leave organic ranking on the table. All right, I want to give you one last real world example. And when I took over this brand, they were operating at a 25% ACOS with $90,000 in profits every month. We increased their ACOS target from 25% to 90%. And this doubled their profit from $90,000 a month to $200,000 per month. Yes, their profit margin decreased due to more aggressive advertising. However, as ACOS increased, their organic rank improved and their tacos decreased, which means their profits increased. So you have to, that correlation is hard to understand at first, but know that we went more aggressive on their advertising to double their profits. 25% ACOS was getting us $90,000 per month in profits. 90% ACOS was getting us $200,000 per month in profits. This doesn't happen overnight. This took us about 12 months to achieve. So key takeaways with this: don't pause or limit campaigns purely based on high ACOS. Look at conversion rates and overall profitability. Number 2, investing in the right traffic, high conversion rate, high sales velocity at a higher cost can ultimately lower your tacos as organic sales build because profit increases. And then number 3, profit margin will most likely decrease. However, your profit will increase, which means more cash in your pocket. And master what really drives profit growth on Amazon PPC. Optimize for conversions and lower tacos rather than simply chasing low ACOS. Now, the 4 metrics to watch, not ACOS. That's a spot check outlier metric to watch. Don't focus on it. Number 1, tacos. Focus on tacos. Total advertising cost of sale. How much ad spend to the overall revenue of your business. Number 2, conversion rate. Number 3, sales velocity. And number 4, focus on your profits. Money in your pocket, not margin. And then if you want to see me go into more depth about all these concepts, I have a free Amazon PPC masterclass at profitablepineapple.com. Absolutely free. There's no upsells or anything. So yeah, we go deep into depth on that and on our YouTube channel.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Great, Travis. We have a few questions which we will address at the end of the session after Neha's bit of the presentation. So yeah, so Travis, thank you very much. And we will actually, I have to also put branded head. And at the end of the presentation, Neha will also put her head. And all right, so thank you very much, Travis. See you in about 15-20 minutes. And Neha, you are welcome to share your screen and let's go.
Yes. Awesome. So thank you so much, Travis. I loved the pink pineapples too, along with the entire presentation. I think it just looked beautiful. And I think one of the things that Travis covered in his presentation, and we are going to take it over from here, is not focusing on just ACOS. Actually, he brought out a very important point. Don't focus on ACOS. There are so many different things that you need to focus on because right now you are focused on building your sales. Just after you have increased your sales, or the first level of increasing your sales on Amazon, from there you move on to building your brand. So in this part of the presentation, we're going to talk about ACOS doesn't matter. What are the 4 crucial metrics to build your brand? So apart from ACOS, or actually just leaving ACOS aside, what are the 4 metrics that you can focus on while you're growing your brand or building your brand so that you know that you're on the right track? So let's get deep into it. Let's first talk about what are the challenges in brand building. Brand building is basically when you start getting people to know your brand. You start getting not just in a balanced way, both acquiring new customers and building a brand loyalty, right? So that is where you start building a brand. But for Amazon, Amazon is primarily an ASIN-based platform, right? Everything is an ASIN. Everything is known by an ASIN number. And Amazon realizes this, and I think they have tried to do a few things to overcome that. But I think the ASIN level, the image of being an ASIN level platform still exists. They've tried to build brand stores, brand posts, follow feature on the brand stores. All of these things is what I remember we used to do when I was in Amazon, in order to kind of break away from this image of just being an ASIN focused platform. In fact, sponsored brands is another way of just breaking away from this ASIN focused image of Amazon. So being that, brands do find it hard to build their brand on Amazon. And what are the specific problems that they face? One is constantly acquiring new customers. And actually, I should have said constantly or balancing between acquiring new customers and repeat rates, right? So both of them, they actually become very challenging for brands, just balancing that the whole thing. The second one is visibility and share of voice, with more and more sellers selling on Amazon. Getting your visibility to stay at the same point or increase is getting harder. And the last one is that cost of advertising is increasing. So how do you balance this cost of advertising and doing all of the promotions and stuff with lifetime value? So these are the three main challenges. And now we're going to talk about the four focus metrics that we're going to be talking about today that you can focus on while building your brand. The first one is NTB. NTB is also new to brand. So focusing on how many new customers are you bringing in on a day-on-day basis, ensuring that new to brand is balanced with repeat customers. Number two is clicks. Now, you know that you want to bring new customers, right? You're going to do a few things to do that. What can you do when you are, bringing in new customers is, bringing in more clicks so that you can divert the customer to your ASINs, to your important and, high performing ASINs. And the last one is CAC and LTV, customer acquisition cost and lifetime value. I think one of the important things that Travis shared in his presentation was how CPG brands have a very high LTV versus non-CPG brands, right? So just ensuring that we know about CAC and LTV so that we can figure out how much we can spend before we, just start deep diving into ACOS. All right, so let's start taking them one by one. The first one is NTB. Now,
Neha,
let me just tell you what happens with.
Neha, sorry, can you click hide? Yes, now we see
Yes,
full
thank
screen.
All right. So I'll tell you what happens when you are advertising on Amazon. There are these four different funnels, right? The lowest funnel is ACOS dependent, which is sponsored products. This is ads, native ads, which are just hidden in your search results. Quite often, this is your comfort zone because this gives you the best ACOS. The next one becomes your consideration, which is sponsored display. You are retargeting and audience targeting, so on and so forth. So that becomes your consideration phase. But as soon as you are out of these two and you start moving into the branding space, which is sponsored brand, and more upper funnel, which is DSP, that is where comfort levels are least, but growth is max, right? You are able to distinguish yourselves and showing that authority over that specific keyword or query that the customer is typing for. And consistently doing that over time is what actually gets you to higher sales. I'm going to show you an example. This is one of the brands that we work with. And this is their 2023-24 sales numbers. Before June 2023, just this phase is the comfort level or the comfort zone. This is where only sponsored product was working. And, we were seeing some growth. I'm not saying that, we didn't. But of course, if you start advertising from zero, this is a brand that started, in November 2022. We started seeing that. But the real bumps came when we started doing upper funnel. It was not expensive. It was not cheap. It came with a lot of cost. It came with a very high ACOS. In fact, I'm going to reveal the ACOS in the last bracket, and you are going to be shocked. So let's start from here. We first transitioned from SP to sponsored brand and sponsored brand video. From there to DSP, and then you see a very nice upward trend. The ACOS, the ROAS is what I'm more comfortable with. The ROAS actually reduced from 3x to 1.5x here. When they started DSP, they were almost at like 0.3x ROAS. And then they did sponsored TV. And basically, they did not get any sales from sponsored TV, but the long-term effect of having sponsored TV on is something that actually gave them a pretty good bump. So lower funnel ads are great and they are your comfort zone, but you need to get out of the comfort zone to get into the growth phase. This is one of my favorite graphs something that we have repeated across. We've never got to sponsored TV a lot, but from here to DSP is something that we actually start seeing impact on. All right. Now that we know that we need to get out of the comfort zone and start doing ads which are more focused on new to brand or are balancing new to brand versus just lower funnel repeat customers, how do we bring these customers to our pages? And I think the more important part is how do we bring them, and how do we bring them without increasing our costs? So let's look at that. Okay, I'm going to give you a very quick hack. I'm not going to take too much time here. The hack is tried and tested to get more clicks at the same bid. This is so you are already increasing your spends on sponsored brand. You're starting to do some DSP. And then when you're at sponsored product, start becoming top of the search. How do you do that without increasing your spend? Is that you double your top of search percentage. So let's say you were at 40%, you go to 80%. If you were at 80%, you go to 160% and reduce your bid. Now, how do you reduce your bid? There is a clear-cut formula for this. You can take a screenshot of this formula. New bid is equal to current bid divided by 1 plus new TOS minus old TOS divided by 100. It's very simple. I'm actually going to show you an example. I think when I'm talking about this formula, it might sound very difficult, but I think in Excel, when you're doing it, it is super, super simple and a very quick drop down. So let's see an example. Let's say your current bid is $1 and your current TOS, top of search bid adjustment, is 10% or 0.1. So to increase your clicks and GVs to your important ASINs, you will go to a new TOS of 0.2. So what will be your new bid? 1 divided by 1 plus 0.2 minus 0.1. Now this bid is actually, that comes out to be 0.90. So you need to reduce your bid from $1 to 0.90 while your TOS increased from 10% to 20%. Now let's see what happens to the real bid. I have talked about the concept of real bid in one of the hack sessions I did recently, and I'm going to be talking and writing about it more. But real bid is basically, Amazon gives you the option of bidding, and then it introduced so many other parameters so that you never know what your real bid is, right? They introduced bidding strategy, the top of search placements, etc. And then they introduced the bid adjustments, right? Down only and down and up and down. So the real bid actually is your current bid into 1 plus 0.1, right? The multiplied by the current top of search. So the real current bid is actually not $1, it is 1.1. And it is exactly the same when it comes to the new bid. So the real bid remains the same, but what you've done is, you're going to be paying exactly the same amount, but you're going to be getting more clicks. More clicks from top of search means more conversions also. And top of search from sponsored product, it also allows you to get more new customers, starting to build your brand, because this is what the customer is seeing first. This is what the customer is anchoring their brain with in terms of the pricing of the product, right? So super important to be top of search, but you can be smart about it and spend the same and still get more clicks to your product. All right. So until now, what we've seen is that we need to go upper funnel, number one. Once we've gone upper funnel, how do we still get more and more customers to visit our page at the same cost that we were doing earlier? Now, the third thing that we need to focus on is CAC and LTV. Now, I am pretty sure that, actually, like Travis said, right? Whenever we talk to brands, they say, I want to hit a certain ACOS. He talks about TACOS. He talks about, I think one of the things that he talked about was LTV also, your lifetime value. I'd like to put that in perspective. And actually what we say is that look at your CAC versus LTV. CAC is, I'm going to talk about it in a very simple manner. CAC calculation is actually slightly more complicated because you also have to um, uh, introduce your pricing discounts and all. But I'm going to simplify it for now. The ads CAC is your spend by total orders that you are getting from advertising. And then, so let's say your CAC is $100, right? Sorry, $10. Now, what is the LTV? So to acquire a customer, you're spending $10. But let's say if your LTV from that customer is $100, I mean, why not? Why not spend that $10 and get that customer, right? Like supplements was a very good example of it. Actually, supplements is not the only example. High AOV products like a laptop, phone, those are also very good examples because they may not have a very high lifetime value, but their AOV is very high, right? So they may not have very high purchase frequency, but their AOV is high. So hence the LTV basically becomes high anyway. All right. So the uber point in CAC versus LTV is that balance your CAC and LTV in a way that your CAC by LTV ratio is greater than 1. Now, let's see how that works out. What is the formula for CAC? How it spends by total orders. What is the formula for, and let me just give you an example. Let's say you've spent $100 on something and you got 10 orders. So your CAC is 100 by 10. That's $10. So you spend $10 to acquire one customer. The next one is LTV. LTV is lifetime value. So how do you look at lifetime value? Your average order value, let's say it's $25, into the average purchase frequency. Let's say an average customer during in a duration of 1 year is buying your product 4 times. So $25 into 4, that's about $100, right? So that is how you get your LTV. Now you want to ensure that your CAC is always, always lower than your LTV. How do you use this information, right? CAC by CAC and LTV, when you have good parameters like ACOS. CAC by LTV ratio is one of those things that you use when it comes to figuring out how much your marketing expenses should be. CAC by LTV ratio is, is what you can use. Your marketing expenses is you can use that parameter to figure out your marketing expenses. And you should aim for a CAC by LTV ratio of greater than 1. A very simple example of this, of how I use CAC by LTV, is that whenever my spend is, my performance is not good for a specific product, but my CAC, let me start over again. If you've spent equal to your CAC and your performance is not good, let's say your CAC was $10 and you've already spent $10 on a specific keyword and your performance is still not good, that's the time when you can actually start thinking of reducing your bids and stuff like that, so that you can actually start bringing down your CAC at least for that specific keyword. But if you've already crossed 4 times the CAC, that's when you can actually start thinking this word is never going to work for me. And so you can start negating those search terms. So again, a very important and easy way of just moving away from ACOS and really start thinking business backwards and say, how much am I spending on this? Am I able to afford this keyword at this point or not? And now, how do you reduce your CAC on PPC, right? This is just actually a bonus slide. How do you reduce your CAC? This is where I think 90% of the people, they are doing bid optimization and negation. Day parting is one of my favorites. I've published multiple videos on how to day part your campaigns in an effective mathematical manner. And the last one is focusing on profitable and high margin products. Out of 100 products, which are the top 5 products which are giving you the least CAC? Why not focus on those, get more profits, and basically reduce your CAC on that, ensure that you're getting the best out of your marketing expenses. So that's a little bit, that was all from me. Any questions that you have, I'm more than happy to answer. But just to repeat and to summarize, we talked about 4 things that you can do to just move away from ACOS, with 4 important parameters that can help you build your brand, and that can help you measure whether you are on the brand building path or not. Your NTB, which is your new to brand, are you acquiring new customers and balancing it with your repeat rates for your brand or not? How are you increasing clicks for every ad campaign? And how are you doing that at a reasonable cost? And lastly, CAC and LTV. I think that's it from me. More than happy to answer questions.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Yeah, we have a lot of questions in the chat, and we will bring Travis back to the stage. Thank you, Neha. I have so many simple formulas. I can imagine what's happening in your complicated software, how probably good it is. So it's atom11.co. You can visit, and you will find the link below in the description. And now I wanted to mention that this session is part of the SellerFest Online Virtual Summit, which during which we also introduced a VIP package. It's something we work together with all the speakers of the event. And in this additional package with additional 40 videos from different Amazon experts, we got different extra deep dives, walkthroughs, additional tips and recommendations, hacks and templates. And also Travis and Neha provided those 2 videos as well in this package. Travis, could you share with us what you taught in those 12 minutes of the video? We don't hear you, I think.
Yes, it's my microphone that's muted physically, so it helps if you undo that. What I'm talking about here is essentially what I taught, and how to figure out your profits, your break-even ACOS, and how to actually calculate that using just data, the spreadsheet, just showing you guys exactly how it's done and how we did it. And I showed you the example of the product that I went over in here as well.
Cool, thank you. And Neha, could you share what you shared with us?
What I have talked about is 5 automation mistakes that you can do with your Amazon automation software. So I think I actually saw someone ask Travis, what kind of software do you use? Sorry?
Go ahead. I think there was a question in the comments.
Yes. I am always, whenever someone asks me this question, I'm reminded of this dialogue in the movie Air. This is based on the Nike founder, right? And that guy says a shoe is a shoe unless someone steps into it. And that's where they bring in the players and the right players for marketing their brand. And I think that's what I also think, right? The software is a software unless someone is using it the right way. And a lot of times what happens is that people do some mistakes when they are automating or using an automation software. I have actually step-by-step walked you through the exact mistakes that people do that I have seen. I've been running, Atom 11 for the last 1.5 years. Before that, I've been in Amazon. I've seen people use multiple softwares which are out there in the market. I know exactly what kind of mistakes they do when they're setting up their automations. So I've talked about every single mistake that you do while setting up those automations on your softwares, and how to correct those mistakes. So just to give you an example, let's say if you are negating a search term, what are the kind of things that people usually look at? To Travis's point, for example, they look at ACOS and spend and then just negate those search terms, right? What should you be looking at is what I've discussed in the presentation. Or when you're increasing bids, people will say, oh, you know what, if my ACOS is great, let me increase my bids. But what if your CPC is like $1 and your bid is $10? What will you do while increasing your bid? this is actually not going to give you any returns. In fact, it will give license to Amazon to increase your CPC furthermore, because Amazon is going to think, why should I charge him less for this keyword when he's willing to pay more, or he or she, right? So I have walked you through specific points that you can use to set up your automations correctly, and how basically they ruin your ACoS instead of improving it.
Cool. Thank you very much. Great content. And now let's move to the questions. We have a few questions. I know Travis was busy answering them in the chat, but we will bring them anyway on the screen. So what is considered a high conversion rate? Tim is asking.
Yeah, so conversion rate's very dependent on your category. I kind of answered this in the chat as well. And so you have to look at your brand metrics inside Campaign Manager. Do you mind if I share my screen again? Because I kind of pulled up mine.
Sure, of course.
Yeah, let me get this pulled up so you guys can actually see it. And I think this will illustrate it a little bit more because some of you guys were asking about it. All right, so let me know when you guys can see it.
We can see it, yes.
Cool. So this is inside your Campaign Manager. When you come down here to Insights and Planning and Brand Metrics, let's hope it's going to work. Amazon's been a little finicky lately. And when you're in here, you can click a button right here that says View Detailed Metrics of your brand. And then you can pick a different time period. So I usually like to go at least a month. And we can't look at July yet, but we can look at June. This data is going to be very skewed because we launched this brand in at the end of June, and pretty much like June 25th.
Travis, could you make a zoom in with Control
Sure.
Plus? So we'll see a bit the numbers. Yeah.
There we go.
Yes.
And so the key one that you're looking at is customer conversion rate right here. And so this is going to be your whole brand. And so it's not going to be individual products, but you can see right here that we are at 15% and the category median is 28%. And so this is the median. And if you scroll over a little bit to your right, you'll see that the top people in this category are converting at 53%. So if this is below the median, you're never going to be able to overtake those people because Amazon wants to show high converting products. So you need to work on your Amazon listing. You need to figure out if your reviews are too low, if you need better photos, if you need better bullets. You need to figure out how to make your listing better before you start pumping a bunch of PPC dollars into it and losing a bunch of money. Because as long as the conversion rate is lower than your category median, you are fighting an uphill battle that you can never stop going uphill. I used this analogy the other day in my coaching call. It's like pushing a snowy boulder up a snowy hill. What happens is it keeps gathering more snow and gets heavier and heavier until you can no longer push it. That is when your conversion rate is lower than the category median, because you will never be able to get it up that hill to be able to then enjoy the downhill. So you have to get your conversion rate high first before you pump PPC dollars into it. And usually a result of low conversion rate is reviews. You have to get your reviews up, or you have to get your offer right. If your offers aren't right and your reviews suck, you're never going to win. And you're just going to waste a lot of money on PPC.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Yeah, let's take another question. Okay, it's for Travis. What software do you use for tracking campaigns? Neha, probably we know which software she uses.
So the automation software that I use is Quartile. And then we do manually tracking for our metrics. I like to do that because I like my strategic brand consultants and any of my brand managers to manually put that in weekly, because when you manually put in metrics, you feel them, you see them, you act on them. If it's automated, it doesn't work as well. But for campaign automation, we use Quartile inside. But like Neha said, automation should be done intelligently. And if you don't know how to automate your Amazon PPC, then you shouldn't just hand it over to the automation tools and let it go. You actually have to know how to use it.
And Neha, I assume your Atom 11 does track campaigns, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So we are actually rule-based, which means we give control. We are, if someone wants control on every single campaign, every single action, so we actually push that out. So you get that control for most campaigns, and you're able to dictate what actions you want to take on keywords and campaigns.
Great. Jetro asks, how can I check if my product category is ACOS dependent?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question, and it's not really the question you should be asking. How you can tell if your category is going to have a high bid and it's going to be competitive is usually just based on the bid. And so if you look at Amazon's like suggested bid and it's $5 to $10 to $15, which a lot of supplement categories is, your ACOS is going to be high. But if your suggested Amazon bid is like under 50 cents, you can usually push a lower ACOS in that situation. But I don't know if that question's really it's not, you can't check your product's categories ACOS dependent. You have to figure out what the best ACOS to target is for you. And that's what you need to target to grow your business. And so, yes, it's all about how competitive your category is essentially what I'm saying.
All right. Let's see. Next one. Jetro is asking, if my customer conversion rate is below the category median, does that mean I should be more aggressive with my campaigns? Neha, can you take this? Wait. Yes.
Yeah.
Please now. Mhm.
Yeah. So if your conversion rate is bad, which means that, so conversion rate actually depends on how the product is, how the product listing is, how old the product is, all of these parameters, which are outside of the control of PPC. PPC is for traffic and your content, your inventory, your all of the other parameters, they are for your conversion, right? So if your conversion is not right, if that's below the category medium, then those are the kind of things you need to fix rather than fixing or increasing your spend on PPC. I would rather go and look at my my product page, my images, my backend keywords, my the content quality, inventory, whatever, all of the other things which are outside of the scope of PPC. So at that point, like if for a long time my conversion is not improving, I would rather reduce my spend and focus on all of those things, improve my conversion rate, and then come back. So that would be my take.
Great. I know it's maybe like for less advanced PPC users, this question, what is DSP? Maybe Travis, you can like explain to Domantas.
Yeah, Amazon demand side platform is just programmatic advertising across more than just Amazon. And so it's a programmatic advertising is pretty much when you go to a website and you see all the advertising on there, that's programmatic advertising. That could be from Google, it can be from Taboola, it can be from Amazon DSP. But what it does is it takes your product and it puts it across the web. And so in a programmatic way, in a systematic way. And so you can kind of target who you want to target across the web. So it can be past purchasers, it can be past viewers of your campaigns or of your product listings. It can be going after cold targets. So it's an entire funnel approach to Amazon advertising. It's more for further down the line sellers, more advanced sellers. I didn't start DSP for my brand I love until we were spending around 100,000 on sponsored products, not Amazon Campaign Manager, but just sponsored products. I'm a very systematic advertiser. I believe in sponsored products first and maximizing that, and then going to maybe something like sponsored display, then sponsored brands, and then approaching DSP. And I'm talking way up the funnel. And it's because sponsored products can get you really, really, really far. I built a multi-million-dollar brand. I was doing 500,000 a month when we were 500,000 in revenue a month when we sold our brand, and we had maybe one sponsored brand running and $5,000 spent on DSP, but it was all sponsored products.
Great, thank you. Domantas is also asking how many keywords you should target with campaigns. Some tutorials say to start with 50, but then I've heard that top products have several thousands of keywords they rank for. Neha?
Very good question. I'll start with the whole point of how you get impressions on keywords. So see, Amazon, when it has to figure out which keywords to show impressions on. Of course, it has the bid factor, but Amazon wants to earn money from your keywords, right? So what it does is it runs your keywords, or it does an experiment for a first 1,000 impressions and sees which keywords are giving it the maximum click-through rate. Why? Because the higher the click-through rate, the higher Amazon earns, right? Now, as soon as Amazon has found those 10 or 15 search terms or keywords, which are giving them great CTR, it's going to stop experimenting. You will not get impressions past those 15, max 20 search terms or keywords. Sorry, why do I keep saying search terms? Those beyond those 20 keywords. So I'm not sure where you've read 50, but I think I'm just coming from the algo point of view. Once Amazon has found the keywords which are gold keywords for Amazon for earning money, it is not going to experiment because experimentation costs money. Why should Amazon experiment for you when it has found its gold, right? So my suggestion is usually to go with 20, but of course when it comes to long tail, we do end up adding more and more keywords, but then there needs to be a cleanup exercise once in 2-3 months so that you can reduce the number of keywords there.
Great. Travis, question for you. Profitable. Yeah, Travis from the Profitable Pineapple. I realized at the beginning in the introduction I said Pineapple Ads, but it's Profitable Pineapple Ads company.
It's okay.
I can see our product's conversion on Campaign Manager. I do not see anything on competitor share to compare.
Yeah, so that's what I showed earlier with that brand metrics overview. That's how you can kind of see your category conversion rate. So make sure you're looking in the brand metrics area of your Campaign Manager, and that when you dig into that data, that's when you can see your category. There's other ways to look at it too, but that's the main one that we use. And then to add to Neha's point of how many keywords to start with, we just launched a product and we're targeting 9. And so she said 20, and that's a great number to start with as well. But we're starting out with 9 right now, only because we're very limited on cash on this launch. And so we decided to be less aggressive, but 20 is usually what we start with as well.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, Domontes asks, so even though I add long tail keywords to campaigns, they won't work well because Amazon has stopped experimenting with that campaign. What is the point of adding long tail keywords?
You add them to, can I go ahead?
Yes,
and of course,
yes.
I would love to hear your point of view, Travis. You either add them to a new campaign. So, for example, launch a new campaign and just map it to your existing campaign. You are now able to do that on the ad console also. Just map it and just keep transferring your keywords in the new campaign, because adding it to a current campaign is just like you're doing a formality of adding those keywords but not really getting those impressions. So my suggestion is add a new campaign and add those new long tail keywords to the new campaign.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Nice session. Lots of value, lots of formulas and good answers. So thank you very much. I wanted to share each of your websites. So Neha, this is atom11.co. Can you remind us one more time what this software does for Amazon sellers?
Absolutely. So Atom 11 is an advertising automation software. We are the only retail-aware software in the market today. Oh yeah, we also have a demo actually on our website. You can actually look at the demo and see what all we have on the software. So we are the only retail-aware automation software in the market today. When I say retail-aware, I mean that we combine data as well as automations by taking data from Seller Central and bringing it and unifying it with advertising. And our vision is to be at a point where we are able to, look at other things like pricing, for example. As soon as you reduce your pricing, you can order Atom 11 to just go more aggressive with your ads, or competition pricing. So if the competition has increased their pricing, you can go more aggressive with your ads and start actually breaking more monies. We have already experimented that manually. Now we are trying to bring that to our software. So retail aware is a term coined by us because there's nothing like that available in the market. But all it means is that as you move and grow more mature on Amazon, you will need to start unifying or blurring the lines between retail and ads. And that's what we are doing.
Thank you. And Travis, you already mentioned profitablepineapple.com. People can find a free PPC course, but if they need more help than using a software, I think you are the man, right?
Yeah, so we work with supplement companies that are doing $100,000 or more in revenue per year. Our specialty is taking you from 7 figures, $1 million or more per year, all the way up to 8 figures and beyond. We do that with supplement companies really well. That's kind of what we focus on. And then anybody can take the free Amazon PPC Masterclass. That's for pretty much beginners all the way to advanced level PPCers, Amazon sellers. But yeah, we work specifically with supplement companies.
Great. Thank you very much. And I see Tim says, Travis, thanks a lot. This helps. Cheers.
Appreciate
And I enjoyed this session. Thank you very much, Nea and Travis. See you in the future. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
It was great. Yeah, thank you.
Bye. And now I would invite you to watch other session where you will learn on different PPC strategies during your Amazon product life cycle, from product launching to scaling and so on. So check this out.